going to be resolved for when this happens again?
So let's be clear about something. First, what happened in Texas is completely unacceptable. People pay their power bills, they expect to be able to get power. For that power to be shut down is reprehensible. We've already identified some of the root causes of this, but more importantly, we've identified solutions to this. Let me tell you something. We are not going to end this legislative session without ensuring that the power never goes down in Texas again, and people in East Texas or any place in Texas will never have to experience this episode ever again.
Thank you.
And I want to see with the light, but go ahead.
Sure, I'll step away from it. Governor, I'm curious, earlier this week you said the Texans no longer needed the government to tell them to wear a mask and do these COVID-19 guidelines. I'm curious, what's the difference now compared to last March when you thought the state did in fact need to tell people to wear masks?
Sure. We are in a complete different situation this March than we were last March. Last March, people had no idea what the disease was. Most people actually had no idea what PPE even stood for. And now we have PPE in abundant supplies. This time last March, we had 0 test kits to be able to test people for whether or not they had COVID-19. But more importantly, there was great confusion about what the appropriate standards were to make sure that we would be able to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And up until just a few months ago, we really had no medical treatments to deal with COVID-19. Early on in the fall, we did have antibody therapeutic drugs that came out. I say in the fall, in October. We had antibody therapeutic drugs that came out that were able to treat people who contracted COVID. Now, most importantly, we have vaccines that we began to distribute in December and elevate and escalate and increase the amount of vaccines that are being provided. Over the past week, in just 1 week alone, we administered more than 1.2 million vaccines. We're averaging well over 150,000 vaccines per day. The most important thing I could tell you is that we have focused on the population that is most likely to either lose their life or be hospitalized because of exposure to COVID-19, and that is people age 65 and older. When the order goes into effect next Wednesday, more than half of all of our seniors will have received a vaccine shot. And then also by the end of March, any senior who wants a vaccine shot will be able to get a vaccine shot. Studies show that probably by early May, any Texan who wants a vaccine shot should be able to get a vaccine shot. And we've seen the results of the vaccines already because yesterday was the lowest number of hospitalizations that we've had since October the 14th. Yesterday was also the lowest positivity rate that we've seen since early October. And so the numbers are going in all the right direction. And so the state of Texas is not only a completely different situation, we are in a situation where it is safe to open up 100%. And every Texan here and every Texan across the state, they have learned for the past year the safe strategies to use to make sure they remain safe. We do encourage people to, if they continue to wear a face mask, to continue to practice safe practices that will ensure that we will be able to get everybody back to work, with Texas continuing to lead the United States of America in economic growth and job creation.
Governor, please, don't the tech companies have to be licensed by government entities that have to protect our unalienable rights? And why do we let these companies that are licensed by governments that protect our rights violating our rights?
Sure, I'll answer part of that, and then Senator Hughes may want to weigh in. A tech company per se doesn't have to be licensed by the government. Just like there's businesses here that may be in this building that are involved in tech. They don't have to be licensed by the federal government. However, with regard to these social media platforms, there are laws concerning that. A law in particular is known as Section 230. And there are special protections provided to these social media platforms that we believe the way the law is written, the protection does not keep them immune from the type of lawsuit that Senator Hughes's bill provides. And so we are making sure that these companies will be forced to comply with Senator Hughes's bill to ensure that Texans' conservative speech will not be canceled.
Governor, I have a question. Upon lifting the mask order earlier this week, you mentioned